Welcome back to Cherry Picking, everyone. Happy holidays. This week we got fantasy hockey matchups to target for Week 10. In Week 11, I was going to do 3 teams again, but there's just 2 teams that I really want to emphasize of how easy it is to take advantage of these matchups. St. Louis is going to be the 3rd team. They've been bad, but just not as bad as these 2 teams here. For people who have yet to sign up for Caesars Sportsbook, they offer probably the best same-game parlays for NHL. One of our best NHL writers. Follow him on Twitter. Top Cheddar has the most surgical same-game parlays. So if you're in a legal state, which would be Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, Michigan, Colorado, Kansas, Virginia, New Jersey, New York, and Tennessee, you guys can sign up with promo code OwnersBox full. Get a first bet, risk-free bet up to $12.50 on your first one. Maryland just launched, so if you're in that state, you can use promo code OwnersBoxPicks. You get pick between 2 great welcome offers. And then Ohio. Sports betting is coming to Ohio very soon, January 1st. Right now, there's pre-registration offer if you sign up with promo code OwnersBoxTicks that you can get free Cleveland Cavaliers tickets potentially, and then also $100 in free bets. So it's a win-win. Just sign up before that January 1st date and you'll be laughing. So this week, we're looking at the Chicago Blackhawks, and just wanted for reference, we're looking at their numbers over the last 30 days, so pretty much over the last month. Chicago Blackhawks, their Corsi percentage, 32nd in the NHL, so dead last at 41%. Goals against, 32nd at 43 as well. Expected goals against per 60, 28th in the NHL at just under 3, and then shots on goal against, 27th at 360. As I mentioned in the last video, these numbers were obviously changed throughout the week, but good to get it benchmarked before the full week starts. So the first game that the Chicago Blackhawks have on this schedule are the Minnesota Wild, December 16th. First player we're going to target, it's a no-brainer. I said him in the last one, Kirill Kaprizov, left winger on the Wild, obviously going to be the guy who's going to be making all the offensive opportunities and chances. He has 5 points in 5 games against Chicago. Chicago is giving up the 4th most shots on goal and scoring opportunities to left wingers so far this season. And Kaprizov is making the most of those opportunities right now. 7 shot attempts and 4 shots on goal per game. He hasn't hit his number. Usually his market is at 3.5 in the last 3 games. But I think this is a great buy low spot. Chicago is a team that's been pretty much the worst in the NHL over the past month and a half. They're just really on the top of injuries, poor goaltending. They've just been the team to target. So Kaprizov is obviously going to be the must start there. Joel Eriksson-Ek is the other guy that we're going to be looking at. Centers are obviously a great target as well against the Chicago Blackhawks. But looking at Eriksson-Ek's play over the last 30 days as well, it's been awesome. He has the most high danger chances for on this team. And like I mentioned, Chicago giving up the 4th most shots on goals to centers. And I would honestly look at Joel Eriksson-Ek to score in this game. He has 3 goals, 6 assists in the last 14 games played. He has one of the highest expected goals rates on this team over the last month as well. So definitely take a look at his goal scorer prop in this game against Chicago. And then the streamer here, a guy that's going to be on everyone's radar very soon, Sam Steele. He's 5% rostered in fantasy hockey leagues right now. A great buy low option, DFS option, 5th in on-ice Corsi percentage on this team over the last 30 days, around 57%. So when he's on the ice, they're creating opportunities. It makes sense. He's playing on the first line right now with Kaprizov and Matt Zuccarello. These 2 guys are awesome to play with. Obviously, Kaprizov scores a ton of goals. Matt Zuccarello, always been a great setup guy, even when he was in New York as well. And then over the last 30 days, Sam Steele has the highest expected goals for per 60 on this team at 1.03. This is a guy that at 5% rostered is just a must add to your DFS lineup and then even on your team, and I'd keep him on your team until he's moved off this line. The next game the Chicago Blackhawks have is on December 18th against the New York Rangers. So the main star player that we're going to be targeting here, Chris Kreider. He leads the team in expected goals for over the last 30 days at just under 1. He leads the team in expected goals for the season as well. He's also leading this team in shot attempts per game over the last 30 days at 10. So that's a big number, something where a guy has been averaging 5 shot attempts and 3 shots on goal per game so far this season. That's a much bigger step over the last 30 days. And against a team that's very vulnerable against left wingers, he's going to be a guy that has to be in your lineup. The must start, Vincent Trocheck, center. We mentioned how bad that Chicago Blackhawks are against centers. This guy, second only behind Kreider in high danger chances for per 60 at 4.26. He has 16 points in 20 career games against the Blackhawks, so definitely a team that we've seen Trocheck play much better against over the course of his career. And then now he's on a new line with Jimmy Vesey and Chris Kreider. So if you are playing Kreider and Trocheck, that's a great stack for this day. And then the streamer, Capo Caco. This guy's had so much, I want to say heartbreak, probably heartbreak for him. Just a lot of scrutiny since being in the league. Him and Lafreniere, it's hard to really show out as a 1st or 2nd overall pick when you're on a team with Micah Zibanejad, Artemi Panarin, and a bunch of other high-skill guys. But He's making the most out of it the last 30 days. He's second in expected goals for. He's playing on a line too. His expected goals percentage is about 50% with Lafreniere and Philip Hedl. So definitely a guy that you can consider playing in your lineup. Just 4% rostered right now in fantasy hockey. The last team that the Chicago Blackhawks have on deck for Week 11 is the Nashville Predators, December 21st. This team offensively has been really bad in December and over the last month and a half, but there's still players that you could target here. Philip Forsberg being that main guy. He's the best left winger on this team. Probably the best forward, considering Roman Josi is probably the other best player on this team in terms of scoring goals and opportunity, but he leads team in expected goals for over the last 30 days and for the season. Kind of same thing as Kreider. He's second in shot attempts behind Josi with 171, averaging 6 shot attempts per game and 3 shots on goal per game. This guy is just a must start. Any left winger that's on the first line, you pretty much have to start against the Blackhawks. Duchesne as well. He's one of the centers on the Nashville Predators. He's been a little cold, but he's still getting 6 to 7 shot attempts per game with high danger chances sprinkled in there, so he's still creating a lot of opportunities for himself. He has 16 goals, 25 assists in 48 games against the Blackhawks, so definitely a team that he's thrived against. And then our streamer for the Predators, Nino Niederreiter. Maybe a little bit of a surprise here. This guy's only 15% rostered in Yahoo Fantasy Hockey Leagues right now. Definitely a cheaper option in terms of DFS. Left wingers, as I mentioned, great matchup, and he leads Nashville in points per 60 over the last 30 days. All right, so the second team that we're targeting this week, I know it's the same as the week before, but the Anaheim Ducks are just, it's too hard to not be able to talk about which players you want to target against this team because of the amount of opportunities, goals scored, their Corsi percentage is shit. And let's look over the last 30 days. They're 30th in Corsi percentage, 44%. Dead last in the NHL in goals against over the last 30 days as well. 43 expected goals against 2 per 60 is last as well at 3.37. And then shots against also dead last in the NHL with 438. So the first team that they play on December 17th for week 10 and 11 is the Edmonton Oilers. So they get Connor McDavid coming into town here, a guy who has 9 goals, 23 assists in 20 games against the Ducks. I know it's literally laughable numbers. This guy puts up video game numbers pretty much against any team. You play against a team like the Anaheim Ducks pretty much ever since he's been in the league too. They've been one of the bottom feeders of the Western Conference. So look at his point prop, which will probably be over 1.5 points at plus money, maybe minus money against this type of matchup, and then his shot prop as well. No matter what the number is, I'd pretty much play it. He's averaging 4 shots on goal per game this season. But when you give him a matchup like this against Anaheim, it's baby food for McDavid. So the next guy we're going to be looking at, a guy that plays on his line predominantly, and one of the reasons why this guy actually is leading the NHL in highest expected goals for in terms of just all game situations, that's Zach Hyman. It's what happens when you play with Connor McDavid, to be honest. There's nothing else other than you need to say about that. Playing with McDavid against a team like Anaheim will probably score 4 or 5 goals. Zach Hyman will definitely have at least a point or two. And then the streamer, definitely a sleeper here, but you have to take advantage of these centers when the Ducks come into town. They are the worst team against centers in the NHL right now. Derek Ryan, he's 0% rostered. His points per 60 is 1.8, has one of the higher expected goals for per 62 on this team over the last 30 days. He's actually 5th in expected goals on this team as well. A guy that probably a lot of people don't have his radar, but if you're playing DFS, this is a must-play streamer, I guess you could say, because of how cheap he will be, and a guy that's going to be 0% rostered is pretty much on no one's radar. All right, so the second team we're going to be targeting for the Anaheim Ducks is on December 20th. That's going to be the Los Angeles Kings. So the star player, Trevor Moore, a guy that maybe is flying under people's radars, but he's been one of the biggest surprises over the last 2 months for the Kings, easily. He has the highest expected goals rate over the last 30 days on this team, so that advocates for that point. And then the Ducks give up the 3rd most shots on goal and scoring opportunities to left wingers so far this season. So he's definitely a guy you need to put in your lineup, a guy you need to target for different type of sportsbook NHL props as well. And then the must start, Anze Kopitar. This guy has played 83 games in his career against the Anaheim Ducks. He has 80 points. So you just need to go with that fact, plain and simple, especially with how bad Anaheim's been over the years. Kopitar has always played against his team. It's one of his biggest rivals, obviously being on the Kings for his entire career. He's playing much better right now. He's one of my sell highs, but when you're playing a game against the Ducks at this level that he's competing at, he's got to be a must start. And then the streamer, I talked about him in my video last week, Arthur Kaliev. This guy just continues to produce no matter what. One of the main reasons being he's now on the first line with Anze Kopitar and Kevin Fiala. 2 of these guys really starting to step it up as well. Continues to create the most high danger chances for on this team. The last 2 months he's created the most high danger chances. So this guy's shot is also an absolute cannon. He's got to be in your lineup if he's playing with Kopitar and Fiala. All right, so the last team that we're targeting against the Anaheim Ducks, I feel like I've talked about this team ad nauseum over the last 2 weeks in this video, but Minnesota Wild, again, it's just how the NHL schedule kind of works. So the first player, I'm going to try to go away from players that I've talked about before so you guys can hear a little bit of new information. Joel Eriksson, he's going to be my must start. Right now, he's probably playing, other than Kaprizov, the best hockey on this team. As I mentioned, most high danger chances for over the last 30 days with 19, highest points per 60 over the last 30 days as well. And if you're looking at centers, Anaheim Ducks, most susceptible team to productive centers as well. So the must start is actually a defenseman. We talked about Kalen Addison last week. We're going to be talking about Jared Spurgeon this week. He leads about every category that you want for an offensive defenseman on this team. I love Kalen Addison, but this is the right play against this team, in my opinion. He's creating high danger chances as a D-man, which is really low, or which is really unexpected, I guess you could say, on a team like the Minnesota Wild that rely heavily on their forwards for these chances. But Jared Spurgeon is one of those guys, one of the leaders on the team, quarterbacks a lot of the kind of offensive sets that we see in the offensive zone as well. So he's definitely a guy that you could start with confidence against the Anaheim Ducks, considering they give up top 5 most shots on goal and scoring opportunities to defensemen. And then the last guy, 3% rostered right now in fantasy hockey, especially in Yahoo lineups, Connor Dewar, center. Plays a lot of the PK, a lot of like a specialty guy, but he's been scoring. He scored in their last game against the Ducks. He's 8th in expected goals for per 60 over the last 30 days. For a guy that doesn't play a lot, he's definitely someone that you can stream in this. He's going to be a super cheap option in DFS. So definitely try to look at Connor Dewar as one of the guys that you're looking at as a lower tier player when they play the Ducks. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys think of the fantasy hockey matchups to target for week 10 and week 11. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, join the Discord. We're always chopping it up in there, and I'll see you guys next time.